A question for you. How many of you regularly set goals? How many of you often achieve those goals? Well, I want to talk to you about setting unrealistic goals and why that happens to us. I'm Dr. Marianne Cintron, founder of Step by Step Dyslexia Solutions. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I have been an educator for 21 years and a classroom teacher for 10. I want to share a story with you that just happened this morning. One of my new goals is to cut out the sugar and white flour in my diet and get a healthier body. And I joined a boot camp that was actually a reboot for a boot camp. And it wasn't until I was in the webinar, seeing that people had already submitted their stories, that I was realizing something was different. Maybe I shouldn't be in this group and it turned out that I missed the boot camp that I needed to be in before the reboot camp. And anyway, so we're taking care of that. But what it made me think about was when I went back to school, I wanted to be a school psychologist so badly because I had a passion to work with the struggling learners, and my heart was being prepared for that. And so I joined the school psychologist program, and I was with teachers who had been teachers for years, and they were bringing to the class their lesson plans, and it was definitely not where I needed to be because I hadn't been a teacher yet. And then I spoke to one of my very dear friends who's a marriage and family therapist, and she says, maybe you need to be a marriage and family therapist. So I transferred out of that class and went into the graduate program to be a marriage and family counselor. And I loved studying about counseling. I loved it. And I was very careful to take courses that could switch to education if that was the route I wanted to return to. So the courses I took were very interesting. And it was actually in the counseling sessions where I realized I really don't want to be a counselor for people who have really strong mental issues. And that's what I was preparing to do. So I knew that was the wrong track for me. So I went back into the education side of the university, and I started pursuing a teaching credential. So I already had 4 courses under my belt that were transferable from psychology, graduate psychology. So here I needed to do my student teaching. And usually you do your student teaching in the very beginning. Well, I was already at the end of the credentialing program. So I actually got a contract from a district, and I was going to be a 3rd grade teacher teaching second language learners. Now, mind you, I came back to school after being a parent, and I was very involved in my community and very involved in my church. So I had a lot of leadership skills already built into me. And so here I'm at a new school, chomping at the bit to teach these children how to read. And I started seeing these really bright students that I could carry on great conversations with, but they just couldn't read or write. And that's when I started developing that passion to help these children, but I didn't know it was dyslexia. And it might have just been they were second language learners with low vocabulary, but 20 years later, I know they were dyslexic. But I just thought it was so interesting as a new teacher it was called, it was like a reverse intern credential. The university found a way to get me in their program. But the first thing working against me was it was an intern credential. So the funding was going to run out. But I didn't think it would because I brought with me a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of vision and passion, and it was recognized by the principal and a lot of the teachers. So then the principal was a new principal, and like many new principals, she wanted to change the district, change her school around, and move the kinders by the kinders and the first by the first and the 3rd grade by the 3rd grade. And I was the person who took over the classroom. Now imagine this, of the union president who was now a teacher at that school. Well, she was there for a couple years and she had her set room. And for her to be moved so that she would be with the other kinder teachers infuriated her. So she was not on my side the whole year I was there because I was the one selected to be in her classroom. And interesting how that worked out. But anyway, the students were wonderful. I felt like I had to pull together my own curriculum though, because I had no second language learner curriculum. It turns out it was buried in one of the storage rooms because of the construction. Someone had tucked it away. And I didn't even know the school had curriculum for me to teach these kids reading until I went to it was called an ELD training day. And so all the teachers who were teaching the ELD classes attended. And they were just appalled that I had not ever received my curriculum. And me being a new teacher, I didn't want to speak up too much and cause waves and cause problems, but my school didn't equip me with a reading program. So that looked like I was a tattletale when I really wasn't. I just wanted the curriculum and found out it was buried. So the journey of my first year of teaching was very challenging. And it just made me think about when you feel like you're at the wrong place at the wrong time and things aren't going in your way, when actually I know all along God is preparing me for something else down the road. But it made me think of my dyslexic students who are always struggling to get ahead. Maybe they're getting, well, usually they're not even at a C- level. So they're not a proficient. They're far below proficient with their reading, yet they continue to get moved ahead from first to second to third. So my challenge is, are we giving them goals that are realistic when we're not properly teaching them to read? We want them to read so many words by, the end of the quarter. We want them to be comprehending by the end of the quarter. But if they're not being taught with a curriculum that's Orton Gillingham based and multisensory and using structured literacy, they're not going to achieve these goals that we're setting for them. No matter how many accommodations we give them, sit by a peer that can help them or give them less work or give them more time. Those kind of accommodations are helpful, sure, but we need to be sure they're given a great reading program. So reach out to me. I have that program for you. It's called Step by Step Reading, and I use music when I work with the students. I train teachers, I train parents, I train college interns, and our goal is to work together to help our dyslexic population so we can close that achievement gap, stop the school to prison pipeline, and prepare kids for success in school and in life. I'm Dr. Marianne Cintron, founder of Step by Step Dyslexia Solutions. Thanks for listening to my story. Have a great day. Every child has a right to read. Please share this message.